Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shenanigans. So, it's nighttime.
Why is it nighttime?
Everyone's sort of, maybe, dinner's over. The servant and the bodyguard and the nobles are also like gathering outside of the nobles' room to go through their affairs for the night and the next morning. As is typical, you have to give servants instructions for what to do in the morning. You can't just let them go off to bed without orders. What do you guys want to do?
Nothing this night.
Oh, you're not going to kill anyone tonight?
No. Neal, that would be a bit suspicious. We just arrived. Next day, the king is dead.
Yeah. So?
No,
all right.
we are going to...
Hold on. One thing I want to do is just look around. Like...
Oh, I think you muted yourself, Nick.
Yeah, your sound went away.
Yeah, so I'm Von Schnaub's personal servant.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to be like close at during the nighttime in case he needs anything.
Right.
So what I want to do is find out where our room is in relation to the king's.
So the Von Schnaubs are on the second floor. That's where the guest rooms are. The king is on the third floor, and the servants are on the fourth floor.
Okay. So, tell me, Neal, I've done it a few times with Ethereal Mist, but how does it work moving up and down?
Okay, so I have better come to understand the ethereal plane. So I'm going to give you, let me open up my document on the planes and the ethereal plane, and I'm going to tell you what it's all about, and then you can figure out how you want to work with it. It's going to be a little different than before, so brace yourself for some change, but I think it's better and cooler and more interesting this way. Okay. The ethereal plane is the space between the material world and the spirit world. It has the shape of the material world without any of the living or dead matter. Existence in this plane is a combination of both borders. To imagine the ethereal plane, think of like a snapshot of the material world, then remove all gases, living matter, once living matter. And what remains is projected like a three-dimensional, slightly out of focus silhouette. These projections are the boundaries of the ethereal plane, and while they are immutable, their surfaces and edges are sort of like hazy to a depth of 2 inches. The space of condensation in the ether... No, I'm sorry. The space of the ethereal plane is dimly illuminated, misty vapor known as ether. While creatures exist in the ethereal plane, their surface manifests as a condensation in the ether, but they maintain a gaseous quality. So everything is sort of black and white, or the all solid things are sort of this black hazy thing which you can kind of push your hand into but not quite. Living or dead matter is non-existent, so like a wooden door would not be there, but the like door frame, if it's made out of stone or something, would just be like a black sort of hazy solid mass that you can sort of touch. But living and dead matter are gone. Items made from... Nope. As the material world changes, so does the ethereal. So should a creature in the ethereal plane run into a projection, like part of the border, either by moving into it or the projection moving towards you, you just kind of flow around it, like a gas against a solid object. This makes ethereal creatures immune to attacks from the material world. There are some exceptions: mithril items, silver items, some magical items too will disrupt this sort of thing. So if you were to be watching a stonemason, from the ethereal plane, all you would see is this like hazy block of stone being lifted into the air, just like rising into the air and then being placed wherever, but you would not see the person who was lifting it, unless that person had like some non-organic matter on them, like maybe they're wearing plate mail, and then you would see this like really fuzzy, hazy, thin, like maybe silhouette of plate around them. But since it's fuzzy to 2 inches, you could like even reach through the plate mail since it's so thin. Does that make sense? So basically, you get the shape of the world, and you can walk around on it, but living matter is not there, so you won't be able to see people that are normally in the real plane.
Except the etherealness brings me to the border ethereal plane, not the actual ethereal plane.
Perfect. Spells.
So, but you can still
Neal.
walk through stuff, right?
No.
You can't
Except-
walk through stone or solid non-organic matter.
But you can.
You can't walk through a wall, but you could walk through a door because the door is organic matter and it doesn't exist in the ethereal plane. Does that make sense? Or is that
Interesting.
and as for bringing us to the border ethereal, I think this is going to be the way it is here. So I think this is going to be it. Does that make sense?
All right.
So
I think this is
how it would be if
Whatever.
one wanted to walk through the door.
I mean, the door's not there if it's wood.
Right, you just walk right through it. And if it even has like bands of metal around it, you can flow through those bands of metal because you're sort of like a ghostly, ghastly.
Oh, okay, so
thing.
you're not like
Yeah.
you don't have a full physical body in that.
Right. You can walk through a metal cage, no problem. But like a cup of water would be solid ground to you because you can't move through water. So water just becomes solid.
But you could also move over water.
You could move over it or around it. You could walk on oceans with etherealness, but you couldn't go into the ocean. If that makes sense. And if you turned ethereal while in the ocean, you'd just be like stuck.
Good thing that the king has now a silver dagger.
Yeah, so this should change etherealness in a way that shouldn't be a buff or a nerf, but just a different
It's a pretty
application.
heavy
It's a
nerf.
clarification.
To see anything living from the border ethereal plane.
Yep.
Well, you can, for example, what you can see. Well, organic material, so that would include like sheets.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Any
won't
sort of
even-
cotton, any sort of fabric.
Okay, then Neal, I've got a question.
Uh-huh.
How does coming back from the ethereal plane work when if you get caught in a physical object, you just die, pretty much?
You just sort of materialize around it. So let's say you're standing, like there's a chicken cage, and you're standing exactly halfway in it. When you materialize, you slowly become physical, and then you just like push you one way or another.
Okay.
Okay.
So it basically it no longer kills you when you're in a physical object because
You'll just materialize near it,
because before
Silent.
in the spell you could also move through stone and solid matter in that regard. Now you can't anymore, but it also does not kill you if you end your turn, if you reappear in an organic space.
Right, but let's say you're somehow like ethereally gassed into an area that would be too small for your physical body to reform. Like, let's say while you're ethereal, you enter like a really small box. Then when you return to your normal form, you probably die. But that's a very rare edge case. You'd have to really try and kill someone that way.
it details the spell so that you do not just fall through the world.
Yeah. It's like a better version of invisibility now.
We should cast Etherealness on the king and trap him in a box. Like, what are you? What choice is like?
But to be fair, that would also seem like murder.
Yeah.
Very, very
I know.
special murder. Or the king just disappears.
Frank's gone wrong.
All right, so
Frank's gone wrong. It's just a prank,
you
bro.
just found Ethereal for no reason, get trapped into a box.
Just the
and
local
you're
priest pulls a
alone.
prank on king.
Yeah,
Like a
no,
next newsletter.
it's all in good fun. Come on.
All in good fun. Another king dead.
Another one
all right,
bites the
so Doreen, what did you want to do with etherealness?
Well, I plan to use it to scout out and look to see if the king is there alone or not, but useless now.
Wait, how's noise working on the ethereal plane?
There's no
You don't
noise.
see anything.
Yeah. Do you have an invisibility spell? That would work instead.
No, I'm not a wizard.
Sorry.
Well, you do have radio.
You do have Lance of Disruption, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're sort of a wizard.
We can kill him, no fucking issue.
Yeah.
It's just that, you want to do it, discreetly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Okay, so the party's gathered around, they're chatting. The serialness is not going to work as a scouting tool anymore.
Maybe we make it look like whatever hooker he hooked up with also has an accident. Maybe they danced off the balcony, maybe dragged her down.
Well, you could just also somehow get in a chat with the queen and maybe just ask around if he has many people in his bedchamber at night. And if so, maybe the queen can just arrange a day where there's no one available.
I think if the king wants to have a good lay, he's probably gonna get a good lay.
Oh, that would be bad. We could ask the queen to actually sleep with her husband so that he doesn't sleep with anyone else, and then she returns to her own room.
I know about doing sacrifice, but the thing is the king willing in that regard?
Is the queen willing?
Yeah.
I mean, that is not much of a question. We know the
He's
answer
the one
to that.
where it'd
But
be like, all right, this is the plan. We need someone else not to be in there, so we can't have a
first of all, we need to know if he
could we
actually
pay
has-
someone off to sleep with the king instead? Like someone.
The problem is if there's anybody in the room while the king dies that people know about, they are instantly suspicious of murder, and our task is to make it look like an accident.
Right.
And the thing is that people know that the king gets shit-faced a lot, and for what we know, nothing too serious has happened so far. So, first of all, we have to know if the king has company at night often.
Every night, more or less.
All right. Now
All
we
right,
need a
guess we
way
can
to
leave
get
Hawker.
to have him. Does the company stay until morning? That is also a question.
Depends. Sometimes, not always. Sort of hit or miss. Depends on how things went that night.
Hit or miss.
So now we have to find a way to make that company either that there's no company or to have the company leave early. Maybe because the king is too drunk. Because we gave him a 90%. Is that 90? Really 90%? Wow.
90 proof, not percent.
90 proof
Yeah.
bottle of
45%.
I just
One
assumed
proof is half
dwarven
percent.
dwarven fire whiskey or whatever. So he is actually too drunk. And maybe too stoned and on drugs. And maybe that company will leave early because of that. Maybe the queen could arrange a certain company to know. Just to make sure that his company will leave early if required.
Perhaps. The queen sleeps in the room right next to the king's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
She'd likely be able to hear the girl that he has for the night leave and let us know if she has the girl that was there left for the night.
How would you tell us?
I think the queen's been living with the situation long enough that she's magically silenced the door between their bedrooms as I don't want to hear what's happening next door to me every night sort of precaution. But you could probably gain access to the queen's chambers and maybe leave the door open or something. But I think there's normally going to be a silence barrier for the queen's sanity.
If we can
Are they conjoined, the rooms?
They
Yeah,
are. There's a door that leads between them.
If we can discreetly get access to the queen's room, couldn't we just walk through the queen's door and make
Yes.
that happen?
Well, what we could do, we could use your spell, Doreen, and inform the queen beforehand, get into her room, wait there,
go through ethereally once the
And
person leaves.
maybe the queen has some way to dispel the silence or to end the silence on her door or between their rooms. Then we wait, listen. If it's quiet and we hear someone leave, then we go in. If it's quiet and they're not leaving, well, depends on who is with them.
Alrighty then. So I guess
The only thing is we have to
we're
inform
in
the
this
queen.
to get into the queen's room so that we're not seen entering.
Etherealness.
Yeah.
And then
So we use the
Stay
feeling
there
to
all
get
day
into the
long?
queen's room. Oh, we also have to ask if there are guards. There are probably no guards in between the two rooms.
No. The two
No.
rooms have a door directly between them. There's
Yeah. So we get with the fearlessness into the queen's room, inform her, of course, about that beforehand. On the night, we send the whatever fine dwarven whiskey or whatever it is to the drugs to the king. If she can do that, we ask her to dispel the silence or to just for the night, so we can listen in. If it's quiet or it goes quiet and the king's company leaves, we go in. And if she does not leave, that is the question what we do then.
Neal, is the handmaiden Anna privy to the queen's does she understand what the queen wants?
It
Is she in
hasn't
the-
been explicitly stated, but she did initially hire you guys in Shenanigans.
Right.
It seems like she probably knows.
But
Well,
she was also not
And
present
I
when
don't
we
think we
talk
should.
to the.
I don't think you should go to an audience to the queen. We don't know who's listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe try to get a message with Anna instead. Would be
Mhm.
and explain to the queen what the dealio is.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
So you can. All right. We'll just go to the next day. You can talk to
Yeah.
the queen about getting access to her bed chambers and everything. So
Yeah,
you can
boy.
talk with. You can talk with Anna, the handmaiden. Who? What do you say to her? That you need queen access, or what?
Should we? Yeah.
We
We need
need
an audience.
because as they're as the rooms are conjoined, we need some sort of we can explain that we have means to disguise conceal ourselves, but
Mhm.
they should be ready to I suppose accommodate us in the
Mhm.
queen's room.
And we need to know when the king is done with business.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The handmaiden says very, very little and tells you that she'll be back later that afternoon with information. But she's got, she can't run messages back and forth so quickly. She's trying to be discreet.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you spend the day lounging around in the castle, having servants bring you food and wine, except for Doreen, who's having to bring food and wine. Doreen, how are you taken to the servant's life?
Well, it's not pleasant.
Maybe there's a sparring competition between Bad Kane and one of the guards, after the last night.
Yeah,
Actually comparing actual skills.
Oh yeah, all right. Let's have you fight a 7th level guard.
Sparring, not
Sparring. We'll
Yeah,
say wooded blunted weapons.
Maybe
Um,
Doreen finds a handsome servant.
It's basically also as entertainment for the guest, Hey, let's watch these people fight as a bit of entertainment.
Ooh, guard rolls low on HP. All right, let's do it, Bastian.
All right, so
Where's our battle music?
We're probably both using training swords.
Yeah.
Well, Kane is not proficient in swords, but he is quite well. He has a good chance.
All right, here is the weapon speed roll for our 7th level Kingsguard. Boom! 14 initiative.
10 plus 5. 11.
All right, Big Bad Cane, you go first. This guy's got plate mail on, or breastplate with chain limbs, so...
All right, I would probably have my armor on.
5 and 3 is 8, and you've got your splint mail, which is 7, so 17 to 18,
6.
right?
No, I
16?
have
Okay.
6 from my armor and 4 from my dex.
Okay, wonderful.
So I would probably... they probably would not have a training sickle.
Yeah, no training sickle.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is the penalty for non-proficiency?
2 for fighters.
2. All right, 2. So I have +4 to it.
Oh, 18 will hit.
What's the damage of a training sword? Temporary damage probably. but-
Yeah, just do D8.
D8. D8 plus 5.
Holy shit, you whack the guard for 8. That's not the greatest damage I've seen you do, but it'll do for today.
Yeah.
The guard will return fire 1d20 plus 6 for level plus 3 for mastery. 25.
He hits.
But he does not crit. Does not clear by 10.
High Master only needs. Does High Master have?
Yeah,
the
he needs
same
high mastery
crit on
for.
16 or
Right.
whatever?
Unfortunate. So it's just a regular hit for D8 plus 3 damage. You take 7.
All right.
And he's level 7, so he gets 2 attacks per round with his
Oh.
weapon. So 1d20 plus, what do we do? 9? They'll
No.
take a swipe and miss, and we go to round
Do we
2.
just want to keep this
Yeah.
initiative?
Yeah, that's easier. Go for it, Big Bad
So-
Cane.
Yeah.
1 attack. Oh no.
Ooh. They counter with a 16, and then you get your second attack. No, you're not
No,
specialized.
I'm not specialized in swords.
Oh, how unfortunate. 18?
Nope.
Okay,
70
round
AC.
3.
So I'm quite agile. So that's 14. Oh no.
Nope. They
We'll be
slash
here.
back.
Yep. Again. So no.
We'll be here a while, guys.
We'll be here. Yep. 10
Wow.
damage.
Nice.
And second attack is a 17, which is a miss.
Yep. There's actually like a lot of minutes just us. Ooh.
4 minutes of
Oh.
battle, back and forth, and then you hit him. You crit him. That definitely clears by 5. 2d8 plus. God knows what.
5.
Ooh. That's still not a good damage roll.
That's...
Well, the guard is wounded. He's down to little around half-ish HP. We'll make a sweep. This time he's going to go for like a trip attack and try and knock you prone. So this is
Alright.
going to be more of like a contested strength. Let's give him a roll to hit. Our 1d20 plus. No specialization for this one because it's just a roll to knock you to the ground. Opposed strength check. 1d20 plus 16. Oh, he doesn't work. So he just follows it up with a regular attack again.
So he just hits my leg. So like,
Yeah. It doesn't work. But then he totally
Oh.
crits you with this.
Yeah. He crits me. Not double.
Double crit?
Nope. I have 20 AC.
Okay.
That's a good
2d8
hit.
plus 3. For 13.
That's a good hit. I'm on 12.
Oh, this is a close battle. Big Bad Cane, it's your
Alright,
turn.
Yeah. I'm going to. You know what? Since he just tried to sweep me, I'm going to go in for like a grapple disarm. You know, try to like grab his sword hand and.
Go ahead and make me an attack roll against AC.
Natural plus dex probably would be.
Yeah. He's just trying to grab his arm.
Oh no.
No.
Sweep.
He will counter with a blow to your head. Oh, and Big Bad
Yeah,
Cane goes
just-
down.
Yeah, dust. Ooh, that was some good natural
Alright.
20.
Damn.
The Kingsguard is victorious, as
5
expected.
minutes. Nice.
Everyone cheers. Everyone's
Yeah,
had a
of
good
course.
time. The wounds
But-
heal very quickly.
Yeah, but of course I hurt him. So just to show that I'm a bodyguard, not just someone.
Yeah. The physical wounds heal, but like the wounds to his pride will never heal.
I mean,
Never go
I'm
away.
not level 7, and I fought. To be fair, I fought with a weapon I'm not proficient in,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not his level. So
Still, though,
I had a handicap. Normally, I would have a +9 to hit with my sickle.
Was he able to discern what the AC of the guard is?
Yeah, it was 5 for the breastplate, 3 for the chain, so it should have been 18.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
I hit
He
on an
wasn't
18.
using a shield or anything like that.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Could have also used his weapon with 2 hands, giving himself +1 to damage, but he didn't. He is a non-optimized guard, just like Bastian is non-optimized for this situation.
Yeah, if I had my sickles, that's probably would have gone
Well,
quite
yeah, but
differently.
if he had his shield, he would have had like +3 to his AC, and if he had all of his plate mail, that'd be another +1.
Yeah.
And, we can play
but
the
he's
what
also
if
7th
game.
level. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can theorize how much you want.
All right. Anyway.
Anyway,
This was
that
just a little
late
diversion.
afternoon, Anna comes back to the Von Schnabs and says that the Queen is concerned your arrival in her chambers would attract attention this evening, and that is not the sort of attention she wishes to attract at this point.
This evening,
What
Yes.
if we could do it without the possibility of being seen whatsoever?
Yeah. We can just send her the message back what we can enter a chamber without being seen or noticed.
have quite the means.
But we can also wait until the next day.
Yes, of course.
Is the queen, how to say, like, is she not? I get the idea the queen has she has plans of her own. Kind of like, no guys, today tonight will be a very bad day.
We have guests coming.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did the queen specify just this day? Is this night?
No. She's concerned the appearance of the von Schnaub family in her room may not be the image she wishes to project to the kingdom.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And
Yes.
Is it could we perhaps assure the queen that we could carry out
Magic.
our task magically?
The Queen's chamber is protected against many forms of magical entry. The walls are lined with lead, and a barrier is placed over the doorway. She did say that.
Is that true for the king's chamber? Just
Yes.
Curiosity.
Yes, it is. I was instructed to say that maybe someone could enter earlier in the day and just spend the day.
Okay.
Well,
Would
once
that work
someone
for
is
your
in,
purposes?
That is an interesting thought. Spend a day.
What if,
question.
is he ever in his room alone during the day?
Yes, he is.
Well, the problem with the day is, anyway, a question. I should get the accent because a question for Neal. One cannot use items when they are in the ethereal plane, right?
What do you mean by use items?
For example, like the anchor I have, I can, if I, for example, throw it up into the air and say the command, it will stay there. And if I, for example, attach a chain to it, one could climb the chain.
Right. So, in the ethereal plane, if you were to deploy your anchor, it would remain ethereally shifted.
Yeah, I think so.
Until I'm basically back. Also, the anchor will only be
because it would no longer
there.
be on your person.
No.
The
anchor only stays up there as long as I take hold of either the anchor or anything attached to it. So it's basically still with me, because as soon as I let go, it will just fall down.
So if you are not physically supporting its weight, then you're not considered to be carrying it At which point, like, you're just touching it, and then when you shift away, it stays in the ethereal plane and is probably lost. You know, like, you can, if your backpack will go with you between the planes, but if you set your backpack down and just hold on to it, like, while it's sitting on the ground and shift, then the backpack doesn't come with you. You need to be, like, supporting it and carrying it.
Well, as long as the user can hold on. Yeah, so as long as I hold on to the anchor or whatever's attached to it, it stays up there.
Right. So if you go ethereal, deploy the anchor, and then return, the anchor does not come back with you.
No, it's more about, could one climb, for example, a chain to attached to the anchor in the ethereal plane? Because we could go. The question is, is there a barrier on the king's window or balcony?
Yeah, the rooms are 360 degree protected from ethereal entry to prevent exactly this sort of assassination ploy from happening. So we should get some music.
Just in case, so I can know that now in a ethereal plane it would work. You could still climb the anchor.
Totally can climb the anchor. Yeah. Although it'd probably be more of like a floating, since if you imagine people as like a mist, but then on the outside it's just like condensed, so it's kind of like a layer on the outside with some mist inside, just like a thin two-dimensional projection.
Important for myself, it has to be metal, because if I have a rope, it would not could not see it.
Exactly, because it would have to be metal or not inorganic.
Yeah.
So we can't use etherealness to sneak into the king's bedroom?
Unfortunately, no. It's going to be blocked. But someone could come into the queen's chamber earlier into the day and just remain there. No one wouldn't be the wiser.
Well, Doreen, you're quite strong, right? Well, you could be the one, servant. Maybe you have a message from the queen or whatever. I would attract too much attention if I were to enter. I am a bodyguard. What am I doing somewhere else and not with Victor? Victor himself would be a bit strange if anybody sees him going up there.
Yeah, Lady Jane or Lady Doreen would be appropriate hanger-outers all day.
Yeah.
Basically, either a servant who's going up there, or a noble lady who wants.
I suppose us two could go there.
Maybe you could both go because she is your servant.
Yes, definitely.
Ah, okay. So we will have Lady Jane and Miss Doreen. Are you still going by Doreen? You haven't given a phony name.
I mean, I'm just a servant. Have I given my name?
That's true.
Yeah.
Lady Jane and her handmaiden can arrive in the queen's chamber sometime earlier in the day and wait. But look, before we actually get to that point, you should know what you're going to do. How's it going to be done? Are the two of you going to commit the deed?
So once we're in the room, it's just me and Doreen, right? Is the queen there?
I think you'll start with the queen there, and then she will change the guards and leave and tell the new guards that no one's in the room.
Okay. I kind of look at Doreen and I whew, and I kind of say, all right, it's actually me, Kyla, and I wanted to reveal that only to you.
Wait, didn't you do that before?
No, I thought about it, but I didn't do it.
Someone did that before.
I was disguised once.
No, it was
Rob's session.
Oh yeah, that was Rob with Nash.
Yeah, so this is entirely false identity at this point. If I do something, I might be able to just disappear.
I was like, wow, this Jane is really similar to Kyla.
Oh, I knew. We've adventured for quite a while, Kyla.
Okay, I thought you might have picked up on it.
Yeah.
I figure, could we find out, what the king's, what his lay is for the night, and maybe, someone could intercept?
Well, I'm thinking, we're here during the day. Sometimes the king is in there alone. No one knows we're in this room. If we do something now while he's alone.
Also, it's only you two. We are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
Nobody
I feel like what like what the role can we play? As like
If our plan is to do something during the day, I would advise we are sending the bottle and the drugs during the day. If we want to do something during the night, we send it during the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just when do we want to send this stuff up there?
Yeah,
that's the question. That is probably something we said earlier before you two went up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the question: when do we want to send the good stuff up there?
Well,
he seems to be like in a stupor, like day or night, regardless.
Yeah, because like theoretically, I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but does the door between the two rooms open?
Yes. It hasn't been opened in years, but it does open.
Right, so I'm thinking like we can literally just walk into his room whenever we want.
Mm-hmm.
While we're there during the day. That's the advantage we have right now.
But what are you going to do with that advantage?
Well, Dorian and I have some pretty good skills combined. And I have this, and I like pull out that dagger from under my skirts.
Don't forget, our job is to make it look like an accident.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure just a little enough of a poke. Yeah.
You would be surprised.
Maybe we could like, I mean, he did get that like silver dagger. Maybe like we could look like he, tried to, use it in some way. I don't know. Like,
Just how about we stick with the original plan of just sending him some really hard alcohol and some drugs to get him really shit-faced and high. Then go in, person him, and throw him off the balcony.
That's fine, but we can do that. We're gonna have to do it during the day, I think. Based on what we know.
Okay, Neal, from what we know, is the balcony of the king usually in vision range of guards and soldiers during the day?
The balcony of the king opens to the courtyard below of the castle and like the walls and the city beyond. He's got a great view of everything. If you're on the balcony...
You don't want to throw him off the balcony during the day.
Yeah.
That's like, oh shit, someone is throwing the king off the balcony. So we want to do it during the night.
Unless we could really look, we could like push him from a distance.
Within the next minute, give me a way to make it look like an accident to everyone who might see it.
Yeah.
If only we did have invisibility, then the person who throws them off the balcony could be invisible, just like holding him up, and he just walks off.
Yeah, but we are supposed to make it look like an accident.
Or just try it during the night.
Yeah, I think we gotta wait until night.
The advantage of during the day is not an advantage for us because people would see it.
Could we still try and like manipulate who goes into that bedroom, you think? Or like...
Well, that would
like
be our
interrupt
job.
them from going there? Like...
I mean, yeah, that's your guys' job to try to stop a woman from entering.
I'm thinking maybe we could like...
The problem is we don't really have a way to get in there at night, do we?
I mean, we're
not
sitting
from
here
the...
You two are already in there.
Yeah,
but not at night,
nobody
are we?
knows we're in the queen's
Yes,
room.
you're already in there. You're waiting there the whole day to be there at night. The queen was only, we cannot enter
that works.
magically, so her concern was people will see you enter at night or during the evening.
I'm sure the queen could like, they left earlier, like she came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
we already
what
did
Neal
that. We
said.
already did
That's
that.
what Neal said. The guards don't know you're in there, so you can just wait until night. And even the queen, when she comes back, like,
Okay.
oh, hey guys.
We can wait until night, but I don't think we can hear if there's anyone in there or not, aside from the king.
Yeah.
because the silence.
So you basically
Is
have
there-
to wait until deep of night, knowing that we sent a bottle of hard alcohol and drugs up there, that he
Sure.
will probably be knocked out.
Hold on, Neil. Is there any cracks in the door, like, or under the door, between the king's and the queen's bedrooms?
Like that we can see through.
Yeah, there's probably like a thin crack that goes around, but I don't know if you could be able to actually see through it because it's close to the bottom of the ground, you know. But there are thin cracks. Why?
So if
Right. So
if you
just gonna
guys,
do her best to like look through and wait.
Is what?
I'm just gonna do my best to get down and look through and wait and try to see like shadows and feet moving around.
Okay. So it sounds like
during the night.
Jane and Doreen go in the middle of the day, hang out with the Queen for a little bit. Queen takes off, leaves them here.
Yeah.
What is Victor von Schnaub and Big Bad Kane? Meanwhile, or what do you do while Jane and Doreen are gone? More importantly, Victor, what are you going to do to excuse the presence of Jane when the King comes asking for her? We had talked about sharing some experiences. Where's your lovely wife, Victor?
When it comes, like, when does he come? Like, when does he arrive? Like, yeah.
It's probably maybe at like lunch or dinner that day.
Oh, you know, like I kind of like, oh, you know how women folk can be. You know, like they have all, you know, different. Kind of like East Side, like you know.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Newlywed, you know.
Yes. Well, man, no. I know what you mean. Yep. Sometimes.
I'm sure she will be, you know, if you acquire her presence later on, my lord, she will be available.
No.
But, you know how the women folk, they are fickle.
We'll wait for after the algae bloom. It's fine.
When kind of, if they're like doing dinner, like probably Big Bad Kane kind of comes in, just leans down to Victor and just tries to say loud enough for the king to hear, Shire, were you the one, you know, you ordered from your stack, your personal collection, that has arrived?
Very good.
All right.
Oh, is that the one you had wanted?
Yes, indeed.
What is your personal collection then, Mr. von Schnaub?
I like it was like a fire, like a
Dwarven Fire's whiskey or something, like really good stuff.
Yeah. I think that would represent the fire in your soul, my lord. Like the real.
Bring it over, he says, lighting up another cigarette. Drinking, smoking, lounging around at lunch, kind of making a bit of an ass of himself while his wife sits quietly eating and having servants bring her papers that she's like reading through and signing this one and returning this one. Like, no, this won't work. Yes. Split the child into two. Yes, of course. Da. And the king's just like drinking away.
This was the like in the evening, right, Sebastian?
Right.
Like, I will be with you, my lord, of course, in the evening. We'll make sure that you can partake.
Excellent. Well, maybe I'll see her in a few days. How long are you staying in the capital?
Oh, okay. I kind of like, like I have, some business in the capital. Like I start talking, like going on a tangent of like my alpaca, like a business, like selling, fur coats and all that, and negotiations, like a tangent.
Please, don't bother me with the details of your plebeian life. Just
of course,
directly answer the question. Alpaca farming. Why, I've never heard of such a thing.
Oh, they're quite exquisite clothes, my lord. Do you like but we'll be staying here for a few more days, of course. However it pleases you.
Ah, excellent. Well, do come back in 4 or 5 days. Is your wife a regular woman?
I will. I mean.
Oh, this guy. Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, my lord.
Well, we'll have
as you
plenty
wish.
to discuss when she's feeling better. I get it.
Of course.
Interrupting you and throwing you to the curb again.
This king is such a cream. He's like the worst kind of.
I'm
He's
sure
like this
she will be
open kind of
delighted
cream.
with your company, my lord.
Yes. I always do enjoy discussing things with people as they come throughout. Tell me about your alpacas.
Of course.
What are their names?
Okay, okay. There's I guess I'll go on give him some
Come now, sir. Tell me your alpacas' names.
There's Packy.
All right,
Packy,
we have
Ali.
our golden boy, Al Pacino. We have let's see here, Alton John.
Alton John. That's a great alpaca name.
We have Weird Al Jankovic.
Wonderful.
Yeah. We have Al Capone.
The best alpaca yet. I'll pack you a new cigarette. Hold on, he says.
Yeah,
He
thank you.
rolls you a joint and hands it over. Okay. That night, then, the queen comes back to her chambers, sees Doreen and Jane there.
Just sitting there.
Has Anna come in as well to, undress and blah, blah, blah her. And I guess the four of you can chatter while you wait for the king. And Doreen, you're looking into the doorway, and maybe 20 minutes after the queen comes to her chambers, you see some lights come on in the room, and there's some shadows. You count at least 2 shadows moving back and forth, but it's, deadly silent.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at some point, probably a servant would bring over, to the king, the promised, highly priced piece of the Lord Von Schnapp's collection and some appetizers.
Mm-hmm. To the king?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's where we send it, because he's going to drink the hard alcohol and go do the drugs.
Right. So the servant comes, knocks on the door. I guess you can't really see or hear any of this, but that's definitely happening. So Von Schnapp, I'm sorry, Victor and Big Bad Kane, what are you doing for the night? You just done? Just waiting for your compatriots to do the rest of the business?
Try to find out which woman is which is the king's,
He's got a bunch of courtesans.
Right.
And
which one does it look like he's, interested in for the night?
Well, there's a particularly lovely young lady named Sophia that is joining him this evening. Says one of the bodyguards that Kane is probably talking to about this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I could try to distract Sophia long enough,
So basically, we're talking private about this. So we want to distract her long enough so King Ori can have his fill of.
Yeah, in pre-preparation for Sophia joining him, perhaps he will,
Yeah, and maybe he will all be asleep when.
Not sure. Perhaps I'm just trying to, remove some inconveniences, I suppose.
Well, it's up to you. I'm not good at, talking around that much around nobles and their servants. But, well, if you think you can stop her for a while, be my guest. Just if you would excuse me, I'm probably should head off to bed. It is getting quite late, and the bodyguard, as a bodyguard, I should probably do my duty and go to sleep.
Of course. You rest after that beating you took this morning. And they all laugh at each other and shoo you off to bed.
All right. I guess evening starts rolling in, maybe?
And so the queen is there with Anna, and They're looking at Jane, since Doreen's looking under the door, and
They're just playing Uno.
yeah.
Right.
Haha!
Oh,
Draw a fool.
Don't
draw
be
fool.
noticed. Don't draw any attention. This must be done quickly and quietly,
Yes.
especially
Of
if it's
course.
coming from my room.
Yes, of course. Luckily, the door is silent.
Yep. Which means the opening of the door will be silent too.
Yep.
Yep.
So I guess we try to wait until we think he's
Hold
alone.
on.
What?
Gotta hold on.
I ask her, does no sound come through the door even if it is opened?
She nods. It's an aura in the doorway, not bound to the door itself. Why?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Spell casting, milady.
Yes.
He won't hear it coming.
No.
That's a good point.
But again, signs of death, hopefully minimized. A fireball won't do, otherwise I would have fireballed him long ago.
No, nothing like that.
No, no.
just out in the field.
He
Yep.
will be held and then thrown off a balcony as if he had drunkenly stumbled off.
Yep.
Clever.
So if we turn off all the lights in here, and then like we can peek through the door without any light changing in his room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That might be at some point. That might be what we should do. Once it seems like things are settled down in there. So yeah.
So by the movement of shadows, you can see when they stop moving on the ground.
Yeah.
No. Then what? What are you gonna wait for? What's the sign that it's time to move in?
We're waiting until there's like
The
no
woman-
movement.
If the woman leaves or it's just well into the night.
Okay, give me a perception check, Doreen, and we'll see if you can spot when the woman leaves, if she does.
I think that's my perception. It doesn't really matter though.
No, that's a beautiful roll. So, let's see, 50-50 chance of the woman leaving when the king falls asleep or staying, depending on conversation and stuff.
Wait, didn't
yeah.
Victor want to delay her?
I thought it was delaying her.
Oh, that's right. You were going to try to delay her arrival.
I think
Um,
we've kind of passed that. Like, he's already in the room with her.
Yeah. I think. Well, how would you have tried to delay her, Victor? As a.
I guess it would be like trying to like put on the natural charms, you know, like
Okay.
you know, like
So you like meet her in a hallway by accident.
yeah, like you know.
Sure.
Well, hello there. Out for a stroll, are we?
Excuse me. The wicks are waiting for me.
Oh, I mean, kind of like looking like leaning toward like you know blocking her passage, like kind of like you know a little bit.
Being the
The
creep
wicks, you
yourself.
say? Like, are the king or the queen? The princesses?
Yes, the wicks.
Right. Okay, I couldn't perhaps interest you in turning into another bedchamber of the night, could I?
Why, my lord, it would not do for the courtesan of the king and queen to be late. More importantly, I have already a certain level of arrangement, but you do me flattery and honor. I have a younger sister, perhaps you would be interested in?
No, dear.
How high is she? Like, how hot is she, Neal? Is she really hot?
Oh, how hot is this woman you're talking to?
Yeah.
Roll me 3d4 plus 6 for how hot she is.
Oh, 3d4?
Plus 6, yeah. That's... you know what? You don't see what the king sees in her. You don't. She's just an average person.
Kind of like A sister, you say? Well, perhaps I shall pay a visit when, if the time is right.
Head down to the second floor, look for the red door, and ask for Sophia. They shall fetch me, and I shall arrange whatever you need.
What, do they have their doors color-coded? Like that one's red, that one's purple, that one's yellow?
No, the courtesan doors are just colored red.
Oh, okay.
It's just their rooms.
Fair enough. Color-coded.
Sophia gets the red door, Janet gets the blue door.
I suppose I shall wish you a pleasant evening. But like, and I slip her. Let's see here. What's a low? I think I have like so I slip her one of my. I have a 10 GP gemstone, which I think like is like maybe like an onyx or something, like a black black gem. If you find yourself, well, satisfied for the evening, perhaps just pop into my bedchambers later.
She will take the gem from you, slip it into a pocket, give you a flirty smile, and a short curtsy, and scurry off to the king's chambers.
When the king falls asleep. Yeah. Wink, wink.
Right. Okay, so in that situation, then sometime a few hours after the sun goes down, Doreen, you see a shadow quickly go from the bed to like part of the wall, and then the lights go out in the room. In the king's room.
Okay. I wait.
Okay. Some time passes. Half an hour passes.
Okay.
The queen is anxious. She's waiting with Anna right next to the room where her husband's about to be murdered. They've got their playing cards out, and they've done like 30 hands back and forth. There's a bottle of wine that's mostly gone between the two of them as they watch Jane and Doreen, who are by the door waiting for the opportunity. And I think the time has come.
Yeah.
Doreen.
So turn down all the lights, right? So that he won't see the light change.
Right. You blow out the lights in the queen's room.
Is it dark? Is it completely dark in his room though?
Just moonlight coming in through the windows on the veranda.
Is that okay for you, Doreen?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can see fine, but
the alcohol has been sent up, right? Like the things has been sent to his chamber, right?
So we turn down all the lights. I guess we'll open the door slowly, even though it won't make any sound.
Right, you open it carefully. The moonlight washes in. You can see the king has got one leg over the sheets, one leg under the sheets. He's like rolled over with one arm behind his head, another hand like around a pillow as if it's a person. Naked as the day he was born, junk hanging out in the wind for all to see. Snoozing.
Okay.
And now I need a move silently check from Jane if you're going to move. And Doreen, I want you to make me a unproficient thief move silently check. So...
Can we... I think you were going to try to cast from here, or...
Yeah, like from
Can you
her
see
side of the door.
Ooh, can you see? Is the king's bed against the wall with the door, or any other wall? 1 in 4 chance that it is in a bad position for you. So give me a D4 roll. On a 1, it's against the wall next to the queen's wall. All right. So 1, 2, 3. It's on the opposite wall.
Oh,
so
perfect.
you can look right through the door and see the king's bed dead ahead.
Yeah.
I just look at Doreen.
Bippity boppity boop.
You cast hold person.
That's how you call a silent person.
Bippity boppity boo. Yeah, that's how you hold people enthralled. He'll get
going to do this.
I'll give him a what do we want to call it? Saving throw at disadvantage. Because he's
He
unconscious.
has a penalty for him being the only target too,
Yeah.
right? minus.
Yeah, he does.
Yep, he fails.
It's hard. He probably rolls a 0.
He rolls a 2. Yeah.
Yeah, holy crap. So
Oh, I'm sorry. No, he rolls a -2. I did
Yeah.
drop the lowest instead of keep the lowest. He is held just like this.
he just yeah.
Yeah, does he wake up?
Mm-mm. Well, if he does, his eyes are still closed because he's held.
Yeah.
So
And it doesn't look, and there's no one in the room, right?
Mm-mm.
Aside from him. Okay. I just look at Doreen again. how long does that last? Several minutes or something?
I'm pretty sure it's a turn.
Oh,
so like
okay, yeah.
10 minutes.
Plenty of time then.
Yeah.
You have
Let me
all the
make
time
sure.
to kill this king.
Let me make sure.
Actually, the question is that you ask, how much has he drunk and how many drugs has he taken?
No, it's actually 2 rounds per level, so 12 minutes.
12 minutes, okay. I'll like walk over and open the balcony
That's
door.
enough to kill him like 12 times.
Yeah, you open the veranda doors. They're like French doors that open out onto it.
Yeah.
And from here, the balcony is maybe 10 feet deep, 20
And
feet long. There's a stone wall that goes around it with like little columns, so it's not. So it's like actually no, it should be a solid wall. So you could hide behind it in the event of a siege. So a solid wall that comes up to about belly height that runs around.
I
It
just
looks
stay
like this
low.
veranda used to connect to the queen's veranda, but there's like now a partition between them.
Oh, Neal, this is horrible. I'm sorry.
What?
All right, just in case anybody is watching, I hold the king up like attempt to hold him up, just walk him over.
Because he's held, so he's perfectly rigid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means Doreen, you've got to be like at waist height, holding him from below.
Yeah,
So like his junk is just like
uncomfortable.
flapping in front of your face as you're like walking him to the wall.
It's not, no, Neil, it's not even flapping. It's just in the
Oh, that's
air.
right. It's held, so it's just like there. Okay, got it. Got it.
The ultimate
uh,
boner.
Do you take like more damage if you're paralyzed, if you fall down? Like, how does that work?
I mean,
I don't think it's gonna play into it.
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's,
Just-
50-50 chance of doing more or less, perhaps.
I think just for good measure, I like bap him on the leg with Doreen's strength just to hurt him a little bit.
Just like punch him.
Yeah,
Like,
just
give him,
do
like-
a bit of blunt damage before the fall.
Okay.
Like-
All right.
So it looks like he's like
by half before we actually
The queen might enjoy
Okay.
seeing that anyway.
so his leg like on the railing or something.
He's standing
In
by
front
the
of
railing.
Maybe even
But he's standing like this. You know, with one hand behind his head.
That's perfect.
Why not, right?
Yes, I am the king. Look
All
at
right.
my
All right, Neal, I'm just kind of gonna like make it look tipsy.
Let him
All right. He tips forward.
looks like
And I mean, he says nothing as he falls 30 feet. Roll me 3d6 for damage, Doreen.
Would you like me to also add damage for that strength punch?
Sure. How much did that do?
Well,
D2 plus your strength modifier?
Oh my
Wow.
Wow! No way!
No way.
I want to tell you guys, like everyone in the stream, like we talked about this, like could the king perceivably survive this fall?
That
Nick,
is why
like
we
you know,
About
Nick
waxing
is
him
like maybe if he rolls like 3 ones.
Yeah, and that is why we talked about whacking him. Some Doreen, how much damage would you have
I
done?
She
I
did
just
5.
You did 5.
However, what is it? 3/4 of it are temporary and wear off, and 1/4 of it is real. So we need to roll the king's hit points right now. Jane, roll me 1d8 for the king's HP.
Does he has any negative modifiers for a life of drinking and partying and being 60 years old?
Nah.
Oh,
Oh, thank God.
Oh,
Because if you had rolled,
Jason, I love you.
if you had rolled a 5 or higher, he would have survived the fall.
Well, you would have still
Oh
been
my
down,
God.
so-
I just imagine Nick like, wow, it's very unlikely. Maybe if he rolls 3 ones, something like that.
18 as a stat. Like, come on.
like I just imagine you throw him down. Like, is he dead? He's not bleeding.
Glad I punched him.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like
Like, it's I think he honestly just falls like a feather somehow. You watch him.
He's so thin. His only diet is alcohol and drugs.
All right.
Okay.
So the king hits the
Farts,
ground.
like in midair and gets like a
He's like a Mr. Burns.
I go back into the queen's room and I say, "Long live the king."
I just imagine if he had not died, the dream could have just jumped down and just gave him a good whack.
Yeah.
Well, then, the two of you are going to need to hide in the closet because I expect any moment now bells to go off and this room to be surrounded by guards.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Excellent.
Sure. I'll go in the closet and I'll hide real deep in the closet.
When they told us about the defenses, they said only the room was surrounded by there were wards in the room, right?
Right.
Right. It appears so.
Just for you guys to know.
Yeah. If really need be. I mean, we don't know how long they're searching. The etherealness probably isn't going to help us get away. But now we're in a closet together.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You guys wait. Sure enough, guards show up, being like, "Oh my God, Your Majesty, the king, he's had a fall. The clerics have been summoned, but I think it's too late. His neck, Majesty, it's at a weird angle."
From a closet, you hear a giggle like.
No.
And the rest of that night is a blur of soldiers and bells are ringing and people are running around back and forth, and it quickly becomes apparent that the king just sort of like drunkenly fell off the balcony. But Sophia's called up to be like, "How was the king when you left?" And she was like, "Oh, he was dead asleep. He wasn't moving. He seemed to be out for the night like he normally is. I can't imagine why he would have gotten up." And there's some debate back and forth, and at the end of the day, everyone just kind of like, well, we've all sort of been waiting for this to happen.
He drank an entire bottle of dwarven fire whiskey and did Starleaf and mixed it with Dreamroot.
I don't think he actually ended up taking any dream root. He wanted to get it on with Sophia. And I don't know how those two play together. Someone figure that combination out for me so we can accurately portray our stuff next to you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, he probably would have died in any case then if they'd taken it all together.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So it's basically gave him a push of maybe at max half a decade.
Anyways.
I guess the very next day, you guys are snuck out of the closet that you spend the whole night in.
Sure.
Sometime in the middle of the day, and
yeah, like when the guard shifts or something, right? Like when there's like
when the guard rotates again, they're told, the new ones are just told, "Oh yes, we have two guests in the room. They'll be leaving."
like the guests leave. Yeah, it's fine.
Right, they maybe the two guests have brought their condolences about the tragedy.
We were guests with the queen. There's no way it was us. So.
And more importantly, the von Schnabs are told that they should leave the palace. The king has died, and I'm afraid you're going to have to cut your visit short.
Condolences to the queen, of course, but we understand that she has more pressing matters to attend to.
Of course.
And
as quickly as you guys arrived, you guys have
keep
left.
in touch.
You guys can head back to Shenanigans,
right?
Where a few days later, after you're back and resting, and do you tell anyone what you've done back here?
Oh hell no!
No.
We killed, okay? I'm not going to tell anyone we killed the king.
Well, Desmond does ask.
That would be political suicide for, Victor.
Not for us because we are not dealing with politics. That would be more like just standard suicide.
It would be both.
We don't know if Desmond really cares, but.
No, but I'm not worried about Desmond. I'm not worried about every other dragon that goes past here.
Sure. Desmond, when you guys arrive back, goes, "Hey, how have they been? Who was in the carriage? We've all been wondering. I mean, we were distracted by Glibglob and the sword, but what was going on in that carriage?"
Just some lady.
It was a real party carriage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. We went around Drek just partying, basically. You should have been there. Party of my life.
Oh.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry
No more
about
questions are asked.
Sorry about Glib Blob. What happened to Glib Blob? Actually, he's trying to, change the subject.
Yeah, is
He
doing
shakes
okay?
his head and
Good
as you
job,
follow
Sans.
him outside, where there has been Glibblob's tower is there, but now there are lots of small catapults and trebuchets that have been built around it, like kids' toys. But you can see Glibglob in the tower looking out and ducking back in and hiding from them.
I pick up a pebble and I'm like, you think a good knock to the head will help?
Oh, please! He's been harmless ever since we sieged him in his castle.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
Right.
afraid of intruders. I don't know. Someone hit him over the head and cast a spell on him. He hasn't been quite the same.
Do you think another knock in the head will help?
He gives a shrug. Be my guest.
All right, I throw the pebble.
Give me a roll to hit against Glibglob.
Okay, I
Pebble?
have to figure this out.
He's gonna have some level of cover, just so
That's
you
fine.
know.
You have lain siege to Glibglobia.
Yeah.
At this point, Kyla just chucks it through the cover.
Well, no. If Kyla doesn't have the big strength, if she misses and doesn't do anything, I just chuck a pebble at 6 damage.
17 is a hit. That's exactly what you needed to roll.
All right, cool.
Plus 11.
Yeah, and that's without. I don't have I didn't add proficiency or anything. I just have a bunch of other shit. So it's Stacko.
Dex and
Let's see. It's Stacko. It's my throwing proficiency, and it's my dexterity.
Yeah, throwing gives you so much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That makes it 11.
anyway.
Okay, so you hit.
Yep. I hit him in the head with a pebble.
Give me. It's just a regular pebble.
Yeah, just a tiny pebble.
Give me D2 for damage. Big Bad Cane, roll me D4 for Glibglob's HP.
You rock.
It doesn't matter.
rock
I
his
mean,
world.
it'd still be a 1.
I just peg him in the head.
Okay, he's fine. He's
You
fine.
don't kill Glibblop.
He just gets hit in the head and disappears behind the little castle, and you don't see him again for a week.
Okay.
3 days later, a package arrives. A bundle addressed to Lord von Schnaub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
And in the package is a big bag of gold labeled Jane.
Mm-hmm.
There is a... What did you want, Doreen?
Money and a deed to a property in Berkshire.
Oh, right. There is a deed here for one old abandoned church south of town and a bag of 500 gold. How did you not see that coming?
It's like a gin. Just like a gin. You have to word carefully what you want.
Calm down, Simon.
I'm sorry you broke me.
It's like
How much?
Jane, you get 500 gold, Doreen. Jane, you get 1,000 gold.
Oh shit.
Okay, I think I'll wind up buying a different property with that 500 gold.
We'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Big Bad Cane, you wanted magical
sickle.
killing tools, right?
sickle. Magic sickle. I showed her what I use.
Okay. Magic sickle. You said you found some magic sickles in a book somewhere, right?
I did not. I said it before I looked, but there are actually in the magic items books of second edition. There are actually magical sickles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to take any of them because they are quite strong. If you look at them, just look at them, or you can roll whatever.
Sure.
I don't care. It's too much.
You get a sickle that comes with a folded envelope. And I'm just going to type to you what it is. And then if you want, you can share it with the rest of the party. Hold on.
All right.
It's going to be in Discord.
Vorpal sickle.
Well,
Okay, I've been wondering, Neal. Like, in max age class Red Dragon, if someone just rolls a crit with a Vorpal sword, is it just off with its head?
I think if they have too big of a like head or something, it just does like a bunch of damage.
Also, I think you have to reach the head physically to actually cut it off. For example, if the dragon is just the head is like 20 feet above you, you cannot cut it off because you cannot reach it.
Yeah, I think.
But like you just etherealness up to a sleeping dragon. Whink.
Yeah, but I think if it's too big, there's like a thing where like it does extra damage instead of insta killing. I don't remember.
And then you just roll over 50 damage, and then you roll to see if it actually insta kills.
Yeah, I don't know how much extra damage it is. But yeah, I mean, I have a dagger that permanently paralyzes people if they fail a save. So.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
one of the most OP items.
Like, seriously, above everything else, I'm just like, okay, permanent paralyzation.
Yep.
Right?
Just like poke.
I just imagine you stab everybody in the spine with the dagger. That's...
All right, I PM'd you your sickle, the Bassmaster.
I'm imagining Kyla doesn't tend to flip the dagger and catch it.
No, definitely not.
You didn't even read it. All you did was read the name. You gotta read the whole thing, Bastian. It's a great sickle. Okay, while you're reading that, Victor, there is just a small letter with the stamp of the Queen on it, and that's it. Which I guess is very vague, but you will be getting your reward in a less direct fashion. But this is the...
I posted in chat.
I think the Queen knows, but I won't know.
It's so good.
I'm not looking at. I don't have it.
I just love. I'm going. Now I'm definitely going to try to use the first effect in combat.
But to do that in combat, you need like direct access. It needs to be unguarded.
Yeah, it's
junk.
I'm already in close combat, so I guess. All right, I'm going to go
chainmail over the. Someone wearing armor would be prevented. You need like direct
but
access.
We are also fighting a lot of monsters, so the next ogre we encounter. Wait, didn't I already cut an ogre's balls off with someone?
Possibly, but now you have your sickle of castration. It's wonderful. It's a perfect weapon for you.
Oh god. Why, Neal? Why would you consider making that?
Because what other magic weapon should exist for a sickle? This is the perfect sickle property, unless it's like a sickle of cutting down grain or something. It's a good weapon.
It's actually a really good thing just because of the second effect. If I fight any male and hit them with this weapon, oh boy.
Yeah, Neal. No, a +1/+1 hit, you swipe the sickle once in like everything within 200 feet, it's just automatically gathered.
Oh, that's pretty great.
20 feet.
Well, maybe you can get this sickle of castration harvesting where with one swipe, all men within 20 feet are castrated, but that's a higher level weapon.
Oh god.
No one wants to party with
That is more something the Queen needs as an execution.
I feel like I could make a campaign where someone has invented this weapon that just like castrates men within 30 feet with a single swipe, and that would be like the big bad evil guy, and the party has to form together to defeat him before he castrates all the men in the world.
The big bad Kane.
Yes, and then the party actually wouldn't want to fight him because he could just castrate them on the spot. It'd be great. That needs to be a new campaign
all
idea.
female characters, obviously.
Well, then why would they care? Don't need to stop this guy.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're horny. They keep trying to get with guys and their dicks are cut.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going for the balls, right? We're just cutting the balls off, but he's not going to get every man in the world, and what ratio do you really need, right? Men are disposable, interchangeable.
That is the big villain's goal. He will castrate every man in the world, and he's building a big device that will magically castrate everyone.
but
the radius of his sickle just keeps getting bigger.
For castrating him? Like, is he going to like have a big harem? Like, it's going to be like the only...
He's just really upset because he is he's insecure about his own masculinity and feels the only way to be a man is to get rid of all the other men in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an insecurity thing.
It's got a tiny dick.
So like some kind of staff of sex change would work too for his purposes.
Maybe. I think it's just that sort of like
So,
innate. I've always felt like I'm not
Yeah.
enough of a man, sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So King Victor, right, Neal?
Well, if you are interested in playing it that way, give me a single charisma check, Victor.
Uh-oh.
And I
Track
guess
it
you're
back.
retiring today, so if you pass this charisma check, we might see King Victor in a future episode when he needs to be killed.
Yeah. we don't
Hold on,
get
did you
I'll
track
take
it
it.
back, Neil?
No,
Oh.
but I can. Like me too?
Oh,
my God.
You just barely didn't impress her enough. Instead, your brother will be called off to war,
okay.
and all of a sudden, your family gets this new grant of land as well. So you will soon be Lord von Schnaub
Ooh.
of the von Schnaub Vineyards. Is it? I don't remember what your family grows.
I don't know. It's like an alpaca farm, you know. Like, I think we established that.
Yeah, I
For,
thought there was some.
for some reason, my father like keeps like undead butlers. For some reason, I don't know.
Yeah, he did. He
I
had-
recall the undead butlers and the
Yeah.
alpaca farm.
Yes.
What the
So
hell's
like,
going on with
it's
the
like
von
super
Schnaub
shady
family?
for some reason.
Neil, listen, you don't try to rationalize past shenanigans or future shenanigans.
You're
It's
right.
just Shenanigans.
You're right.
Nope.
No
No.
attempt at rationalization. Okay, let's
No,
give
yeah.
everyone some experience too.
Just for the record, what year is it? Just asking because maybe some McTacky might want to put the assassination of the king of Drag somewhere.
We'll see if it's even canon or not. Let's not worry about it too
Oh,
closely.
come on. This has to be canon. The drunk, the alcoholic king
I
getting
will. I'll
almost
let you
surviving,
sit.
getting thrown off the balcony because we really won't shit in damage.
Yeah. All right, guys. You can each take home 1,000 experience for this. It was a high importance mission, even if it wasn't particularly dangerous to you. And you did it with flying colors. Y'all done well.
Nice. All right. Let's reroll a new character, shall we?
Ooh. Ooh. Let's get some von Schnaub stats. Or no,
Yeah.
some new stats. Some non-Schnaub.
4d6,
Non-schnob.
Non-Schnaub stats.
10, 13, 17,
Ooh.
8,
Nice.
and one more, right?
2 more.
One more.
No, pretty
2
good.
more.
That's no one more.
Perception.
That's 6, right?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh
7.
yeah. That's true. That 15 is a.
Yeah, that's a different roll. 1 more.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
very nice.
Not bad.
that's a great character.
Pretty good.
Very nice.
Oh, my.
All right, we'll see what I think I want to do. Like, I can rearrange them, right?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I
You
think I
can-
want.
yeah, you
I
could
think I want to do a
put them in.
wizard this time.
And I've been
Nice.
thinking, I'm not quite ready to implement this rule, but I've been thinking we might want to have 2 sets of shenanigan characters. We might want to have the broken ridiculous character set and a more normal character set that we can switch back and forth between if for times where we want to like have a party that's a little bit more,
Balance.
you know, it can be frustrating when you've got like your 6th level broken fighter next to the 1st level useless thief.
Right, but
You know.
we've kind of been doing that,
Yeah,
right?
I think
Where like last session we had like Zen and not that high level people. This session we have Doreen.
Yeah.
The session before last we had Doreen. Like it's been going back and forth.
But now officially more officially.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's just a thought in the future. Do you know if you're going to try and make a skills and powers broken character, or if you're going to make a more normal character?
I like it. I mean, even skills and powers does not have to be broken. It can just be interesting.
Yeah. Just as a matter of curiosity, do you know?
Is it like if I make a wizard, for example, like does it matter if I make like a skills and powers one? Like is it like
That's whatever. I'm just curious because you can
we
make like
could-
a wizard who can cast cleric spells and wear plate mail if you
Okay.
want. You know, so
I don't think I'll be
Or
doing.
you can make a
that.
wizard that can cast almost no spells and is basically a fighter with some
Yeah.
spells.
yeah. All right, coolio. Well, congratulations, everybody. This has been fun. You should also be able to catch the VODs of Greg's show, which is called Seekers of Sarmanoth. I think they did.
Samurai?
Speakers of Black Sabbath.
No, Sarmanoth. Greg is a regular here on Shenanigans and on Frozen Frontier and Hardcore Heroes and stuff, and I think he was playing today with Millman, who used to play Shenanigans, Faye, who's on Akuban Knights, and Sean, who you know from Fro and Hardcore Heroes and stuff. And then I think the fourth player is Greg's brother, maybe? Oh, there were two other players. I don't know the other two players. I think one of them's his brother. So that's promising. So you can check that out now if you want.
I will also, on request of a certain someone who no longer can watch these shows live because she is now in a certain other game, will now every Shenanigans episode that I will play with or in, which will hopefully be most of them, will have a news ticker every week about it on Twitter, just to see if you really want to watch this episode. For example, I would recommend watch this episode because I made a joke at the beginning and it just fit perfectly in the whole episode because Neal took it too hard.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Right. So that's it for Shenanigans. We'll see you guys for Frozen Frontier tomorrow, and that's it. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye bye.